Syria, 267 AD, in the golden halls of Palmyra. A woman was making a decision that would shake the Roman Empire to its core. Queen Zenobia had just received an ultimatum from Emperor Aurelian: surrender immediately or face the full might of Rome's legions. Her response was not what the Romans expected. Instead of submitting, Zenobia declared herself Augustus, Emperor of the East. With that single act, she transformed from a regional queen into Rome's most dangerous enemy, controlling an empire that stretched from Turkey to Egypt. This is the story of the queen who dared to challenge the greatest empire on earth, and almost won. The queen of the DSRT's Nobia's rise to power began in the desert city of Palmyra, one of the most remarkable places in the ancient world. Located on the Silk Road between East and West, Palmyra was where Roman engineering met Persian luxury, where Greek philosophy mingled with Arabian mysticism. The city's wealth was beyond imagination. Caravans carrying Chinese silk, Indian spices, and Arabian incense paid massive taxes to pass through Palmyra's gates. This made Palmyra one of the richest cities in the Mediterranean world, but also incredibly vulnerable. Sitting directly on the frontier between the Roman and Persian empires, when Zenobia married Odeanathus, the ruler of Palmyra, around 258 AD, she inherited not just a crown, but one of the most dangerous political situations in the ancient world. Zenobia is unlike any queen the ancient world had ever seen. Roman historians described her as stunningly beautiful, with dark eyes that could flash like lightning. She spoke fluent Greek, Latin, Aramaic, and Egyptian. She claimed descent from Cleopatra and Alexander the Great. Most remarkably, she personally led her armies into battle, wearing full armor and fighting alongside her soldiers. When her husband, Odeanathus, was assassinated in 267 AD under mysterious circumstances, Zenobia moved with lightning speed to secure power, claiming the regency for her infant son, Vabilathus, the master Pelagian, while Rome was distracted by barbarian invasions and internal civil wars. Zenobia began executing one of the most audacious plans in ancient history. She wasn't just planning to defend Palmyra, she was planning to replace Rome as the dominant power in the Eastern Mediterranean. Her strategy was brilliant in its simplicity. Rome's eastern provinces were exhausted by constant warfare with Persia, overtaxed to fund distant campaigns and govern by corrupt officials. Zenobia offered these provinces something Rome, a could local ruled by someone who understood their cultures and languages. In 269 AD, Zenobia's armies swept into Egypt, the richest province in the Roman Empire. Her general Zabdas captured Alexandria without a single battle, The Egyptian people, tired of Roman oppression, welcomed the Palmyrene queen as a liberator. Within months, Zenobia controlled most of modern-day Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, and Egypt. She commanded the loyalty of millions of subjects and controlled the Mediterranean's most important trade routes. Rome's Eastern Empire was collapsing. The declaration of War in 270 AD, Zenobia made the move that transformed her from regional rebel to existential threat. She ordered coins to be minted, bearing her image with the titles Augusta and Augustus, titles reserved exclusively for Roman emperors. This wasn't just political theater. In the ancient world, minting coins with imperial titles was equivalent to a formal declaration of independence. Zenobia was announcing to the world that she no longer recognized Roman authority. Roman historians later claimed that Zenobia's ambitions went even further. She was planning to march on Rome itself and claim the Western Empire as well. When Emperor Aurelian finally turned his attention to the Eastern Rebellion in 272 AD, he found himself facing a military challenge unlike anything Rome had encountered in centuries. Zenobia's armies weren't barbarian tribes. They were professional soldiers using Roman tactics, led by experienced generals who understood Roman military doctrine better than most. Aurelian's demand for surrender ended in humiliation. Zenobia's response became legendary. "You demand my surrender as though you were not aware that Cleopatra preferred to die a queen rather than remain alive in any other rank." The siege of Palmyra's invasion began disastrously for Rome. At the Battle of Antioch, Zenobia's heavy cavalry smashed through Roman lines and nearly captured Aurelian himself. Only a desperate fighting retreat saved the Roman emperor from complete defeat. But Aurelian learned from his mistakes. At the Battle of Emesa, he used a brilliant tactical deception, ordering his cavalry to feign retreat and then strike Zenobia's pursuing forces in the flanks. The victory opened the road to Palmyra itself. The siege of Palmyra lasted 4 months. Zenobia's city was one of the most heavily fortified in the ancient world, defended by soldiers who knew they were fighting for their lives. Roman siege engines pounded the walls day and night, while Palmyrene archers rained arrows down on the attackers. But Zenobia's greatest advantage became her fatal weakness. Aurelian's siege cut off all supply lines to the city. Without the caravan trade that had made Palmyra wealthy, the city began to starve. As Palmyra's defenses crumbled, Zenobia made one final, desperate gambit. Disguised as a Bedouin merchant, she slipped through Roman lines under cover of darkness, heading for Persia, where she hoped to secure military support for a counterattack. She almost made it. Riding a racing camel, Zenobia reached the Euphrates River before Roman cavalry caught up with her. The mystery of her fat what happened to Zenobia after her capture has puzzled historians for over 1700 years. Roman sources give contradictory accounts that seem designed to obscure the truth rather than reveal it. The official Roman version claimed that Zenobia was brought to Rome in golden chains and paraded through the streets in Aurelian's triumph. Some sources say she was then given a villa outside Rome, where she lived quietly until her death. But other accounts tell a very different story. Syrian chroniclers claim that Zenobia died on the journey to Rome, either from illness or suicide, determined not to give the Romans the satisfaction of displaying her as a conquered enemy. Even more intriguingly, some sources suggest that the woman paraded in Aurelian's triumph wasn't Zenobia at all, but a double, that the real queen had died in captivity and the Romans used an actress to play her role. Recent analysis reveals suspicious patterns in how Zenobia's story was recorded. Details about her fate appear to have been deliberately obscured. Why would the Romans want to hide the truth? Because Zenobia wasn't just another barbarian chief. She was a sophisticated ruler who had successfully challenged Roman authority. Using Roman methods, the archaeological Evidient, Syria modern archaeology has provided tantalizing clues about Zenobia's true fate. Excavations at Palmyra have uncovered evidence of the city's final siege, including arrowheads, siege equipment, and mass graves from the Roman assault. More intriguingly, excavations in Rome have failed to find any evidence of the villa where Zenobia supposedly lived in exile. No inscriptions, no artifacts, no architectural remains. In 2010, Syrian archaeologists announced the discovery of what they claimed was Zenobia's tomb, hidden in a cave complex outside Palmyra. The burial contained the remains of a woman in her 40s, along with jewelry and artifacts consistent with Palmyrene royal regalia. Carbon dating confirmed that the burial dated to the late 3rd century AD, exactly when Zenobia would have died. The revolutionary Laid Arwat makes Zenobia's story remarkable is how thoroughly it was suppressed by later historians. Byzantine chroniclers transformed her from a military genius into a seductress. Medieval historians largely ignored her story. It wasn't until the 19th century that scholars began to reconstruct the true scope of her achievements. Zenobia created a government that successfully blended Roman administrative efficiency with Eastern cultural traditions. Her empire was remarkably tolerant, protecting religious minorities and maintaining trade relationships across cultural boundaries. Perhaps most remarkably, Zenobia's rebellion anticipated ideas that wouldn't become widespread until centuries later. She understood that Rome's greatest weakness wasn't military, it was political. The empire was too large and culturally diverse to be governed effectively from a single center. Zenobia offered an alternative model, a confederation of autonomous regions united by trade and mutual defense rather than centralized control. It was a vision that might have created a more stable and prosperous Eastern Mediterranean. Consider what world history might have looked like if Zenobia had succeeded. A Palmyrene empire controlling the Eastern Mediterranean would have created a powerful buffer between Rome and Persia, potentially preventing centuries of destructive warfare. Her model of cultural tolerance might have provided a more stable foundation for governing the diverse populations of the Middle East. Today, Zenobia's magnificent city of Palmyra lies in ruins, but archaeological work continues to reveal new evidence about her remarkable reign. Recent discoveries include administrative documents showing the sophistication of Palmyrene government, artwork depicting Zenobia in ways that contradict Roman propaganda, and evidence of trade relationships that extended from Britain to China. Zenobia's story reminds us that history is shaped not just by the winners, but by those who had the courage to imagine different possibilities. Her rebellion failed, but her vision of a more tolerant and decentralized world continues to inspire people fighting for justice and autonomy. The desert queen who defied Rome may have lost her final battle, but her legacy as a champion of resistance against imperial oppression lives on. If you're fascinated by stories of powerful women who change history and want to discover more incredible tales of courage against impossible odds, hit that like button right now. Your support helps us uncover more amazing stories of forgotten heroes who dared to challenge empires. Subscribe to our channel to journey with us into the lives of history's most remarkable leaders. We're constantly discovering new evidence about the rulers who shaped our world through their courage and vision. Drop a comment below and tell us which powerful historical figure shall we explore next. Your suggestions help us decide which incredible stories to bring to light. And share this video with anyone who loves stories of strong women, ancient history, or incredible tales of resistance against tyranny. They'll be amazed by the story of the queen who almost brought down Rome. Zenobia's story proves that even the mightiest empires can be shaken by individuals with enough courage, intelligence, and determination. What other forgotten heroes are waiting to inspire us with their incredible stories?